Students, today we will discuss about the Hague ruling on Indus Water Treaty and what it means for India and Pakistan. So first, if you have to understand what is an Indus Water Treaty. The Indus Water Treaty is a world agreement between India and Pakistan signed in 1960 with the help of the World Bank. It divides the water from 6 rivers between the two countries. The treaty has lasted more than for 60 years, even though the wars and political tensions were happened. But now the situation has changed because of the terrorism and growing mistrust between these two countries. Now let us see what happened recently. On June 27, the 2025, the Court of Arbitration in The Hague gave a ruling about a dispute between India and Pakistan. The court said that it has power to hear the case. Even though India did not take part in the hearings, India quickly rejected the ruling. India rejected the ruling of this arbitration and saying the court is not valid and the case is meaningless. India also said the treaty is currently suspended because the Pakistan has not stopped supporting cross-border terrorism. Now, if you can see why this is very much important. This is not just a legal fight about the rivers. It's also about the safety and trust between the two neighbors. The treaty was meant to keep water sharing free from politics. So, the main principle is water sharing should be free from politics. But India says that terrorism has changed that. After a deadly terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir in April 2025, India paused the functioning of the treaty. Not the water flow, but the cooperation part. India's message is very simple. The trust cannot flow when terror does. Trust cannot flow when terror does. This is what India says. And what Pakistan is saying. So let us see what is the Pakistan stand in this. The Pakistan took the issue to the court saying India's suspension of the treaty is illegal. The court also agreed with the Pakistan saying India cannot stop. India cannot stop the treaty by itself and that once a legal process it begins, it must continue. Now, what is India's stand? The India says that law should be considered the real world problems. It did not stop Pakistan's share of water. It only paused talks and cooperation to send a strong signal. India believes that Pakistan should not expect the benefits of the peace agreements while still supporting terrorism. Now, if you can see that what are the India's options? The first and foremost option is ignore the court ruling and continue to stay away from the legal process. Otherwise, withdraw fully from the treaty, but this may bring a global criticism as well. The third one is uses its rights under the treaty. Use its rights under the treaty. So if you really uses its treaty, most of the water will be used by India only. So at least you use that. Otherwise, offer cooperation to Pakistan only if Pakistan takes strong steps against terrorism and the key technical talks are going on so that it can understand what exactly is happening in the Pakistan and the situation of the water need in that country. So each path has its own pros and cons anyway, and India must balance being strong and being fair. So what the world can learn from this Indus Water Treaty issue? The other countries have also faced similar problems with shared rivers. For example, if you can take Egypt and you can take Ethiopia, China, Vietnam, there are other countries as well with the similar problems. All have had conflicts over water. The lesson is very clear. The water disputes can become dangerous if not handled with care. So now, what India should do? What India should do? India should continue to build water projects and fully use its share of rivers, but it must do with this in a transparent and lawful way. At the same time, India should tell the world clearly it wants peace, but not at the cost of the people's safety. So, if Pakistan wants to enjoy the benefits of this treaty, it must stop supporting violence. That is what India stands. So, if you can see the final conclusion, the Indus River is not just water. It stands for peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. It flows through both countries, but how it is treated depending upon the human actions. India has made its position very clear. It will act with strength and responsibility. Now it is Pakistan's turn to decide. Will it treat the Indus rivers as a rivers of peace, or will it let them become rivers of tensions? It is up to the Pakistan. But India's stand is very, very clear. Once, if the Pakistan is not in a position to stop the effort, it stop the terrorism, and if it is not showing any effort to stop the terrorism, India is going to use Indus Water Treaty as a weapon. It's not the question of legality or ethical issue. It is always about the nationalism. India feels that its nation's interests are first and priority. So till now the Indus Water Treaty was not disturbed, but now the India also don't want to disturb the treaty, provided that Pakistan is willing to reduce the terrorism. To sorry, not to reduce the terrorism, to have some cooperation to make sure that it will not entertain terrorists in their country, because in their country terrorists are freely walking. So that should not be done. So India don't like it. So India clearly says to the world also, it is not for the water. India will always stand for peace, cooperation, and mutual respect, and we expect the same thing from the Pakistan as well. So this is an article actually which is written in the Indian Express. The writer is the former permanent representative of India to the United Nations, and currently he is the dean of Kautilya School of Public Policy. So which means that his views will not be we cannot take away. So if you want to read it, you can read this article. It is in Indian Express, and it was written on July 14, 2025. The author is Syed Akbaruddin. Previously, he is the permanent representative to the United Nations. So his views are very much important. Go through this article. Thank you.